Hello, 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 world. Fingerboarding world. It is I, Stevie Harkins FB, back with another episode of the Sesh, the late night NA edition. It's about 8:30 here in North America Central Time. And today we have a very special guest. We have Red Wolf Fingerboards, and also known as the guy that owns that account is also the owner of Wysocki Wheels. And today we got him on the show. We'll be giving him a call in a second. But of course, as usual, we got to start out with the old shout outs, the old information, the news, the freshest hot updates in the fingerboarding world. Let me open up the old Insta and all my stuff. I know, I was going to say Fingered Ben just put up a On Guard video series. I think it's like 2 parts, one on his Instagram, one on his YouTube, and it's some wild shit of him like with a thumbtack attached to the end of his fingerboard, and it's wacky and it's stunt. It's totally everything you want to see from Ben and more. So definitely check that out. I know that Faith Fingerboards is on like the next point of or Fingerboard Ramps is on the next point of their sponsorship. So good luck to everybody that made it to that next level. Sorry for Fingerboarding happened over the weekend. That shit was supposedly really dope. Shout out to the West Coast people that went to that and had a great time. And basically threw some bangers down and got to know, share this love for the scene and all the winners for that. I know all the winners. I have to check, though, who the winners were. But shout out to those 3 guys who got first, second, and third. I know the guy who won last year was the winner again this year. So it's like something lit. Fingerboards or something like that. But yeah, shout out to everybody that made it out that way and got to exchange and share the love at the event. And if any of those guys that listen in from that event would like to come on the show, you guys are more than welcome to come and talk about that event. Hopefully you can reach out to those guys sometime soon and talk about that and get them on the show. But also, I wanted to talk about the guy Rainy Days. Yeah, that guy Rainy Days. He's got new stuff and new prototypes of park miniatures and stuff coming out, so definitely go check his page out. I know I always shout him out, but he's got cool miniatures, and I know a lot of people are just getting into that now and loving that whole idea of decorating your park with miniatures and mini bongs and shit like that. So go ahead and get your hands on that. Bunch of new drops that we were talking about coming up. I know Whoosh and everybody has got stuff on their websites right now. So definitely, and if it's not on their direct website, a lot of third-party websites like the Fingerboard Store and all those websites. I know Exodus Ride Shop just got a bunch of Black River ramps and basically a lot of the third-party websites that you can buy fingerboard stuff from have a bunch of gear right now. So definitely check out your local supporters of fingerboard companies in the form of shops and buy from them as well. Mystery packs from Cherry Tape are restocked. Get your hands on those. She's a total sweetheart and would love for you to try her tape. I know Fingerboard Connoisseur's got a new thing of Black Velvet going too. So, plenty of grip options out there right now for anybody needing grip. Also, Word Up. Woo, yeah, right? Also, I think Chems too, right? Didn't Chems just grab a new stock? But, word up to everybody that got to hit that Carlsbad gap at Sorry for Fingerboarding as well. That shit looks fire. That looks like a fun-ass obstacle. And I would love to get involved in that. So anybody that is good at remaking that shit, we need one in the Midwest. And holler at me if you get it done. So yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I missed. Oh, congratulations to Fingerboard New York City or FBNYC on Instagram for being added to the Grimy Fingerboards company, professional team. So congrats to him and good luck with his career and everything he's got coming his way. And I think that's it for stocks and shit like that, and everything else along those lines. Yeah, I think that's it for that. I'm gonna go ahead and give our guy from Red Wolf Fingerboards a call now. Hang on, just give me 1 second so I can set up the Skype, and of course we're gonna have the obnoxious ring that we have every week. And I love it because it just makes us sound so ever so professional. Also, yeah, like I say at every show too, if you're looking to advertise with the show or you got something coming out, if you're a company, you're a pro writer, you're a content creator, whatever you want to call it, if you're looking to get involved in the show or like basically advertise yourself and or come on the show and talk about something, feel free to message me on Instagram at StevieHarkinsFB. It is written on the page that you're looking at right now, whether you're watching the live stream or you're on the YouTube. Oops, let me hide this as well. Or you're on the YouTube watching the recorded version. You definitely can check that stuff out and get involved and talk to me and message me on that stuff so you can get your stuff on here. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and give Red Wolf a call. Hang on. I believe his name is Keelan. I'm not sure, but we shall check. So we're going to go ahead and give him a call. Hello?
Hello?
Keelan?
Yeah, it's Keelan.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. How's your day been so far?
It's been pretty busy, but we get by.
I was gonna say I feel you on that. I've been like audience or whoever's listening. I've been totally giving this guy the runaround today. I had like on a side note, I had a group project, so I ended up having to reschedule with him. But he's been such a wonderful communicator with me because sometimes I can totally let school like fling right over my head if I wasn't like if I could just fingerboard all day. But thank you so much for being flexible, man. Like thank you for letting me message you all day pretty much.
Yeah, no problem.
I was gonna say, basically, you run Red Wolf fingerboards and Wysocki wheels.
That is correct.
If you don't mind me getting right into it, what made you want to do the two different companies? I know a lot of people usually focus in, or they usually go all around, like try to make everything, or like specifically focus on one thing. What made you want to go with like the two kind of critical pieces of the board and the wheel?
So I started Red Wolf in 2007, so that's been going 11 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I started Wysocki wheels 2000 late. I started testing it in 2013, 2014, and I didn't come out with anything until 2015. But that's how that started. I wanted wheels and.
No, go ahead.
What?
I said no. Go ahead. You wanted wheels and.
I wanted my own wheel, and it was kind of like I saw all these wheels out there, and it was like, okay, I can do something. I can do my own thing, and that's just pretty much how I've been. I'm a builder. I like to make my own stuff.
I got you. So like, if you see something, you're like, man, I want to give my hand and see if I can make that a little better. You don't mind like trying your hand at it. Did you already have equipment, or did you invest to get started?
For boards or for wheels?
Let's say both.
So in 2007, I started making boards. Pretty much, I used to make boards. I used to get like 80 grit sandpaper, and I had a Bondo mold, and it was literally I had 80 grit sandpaper, and I used to just hand sand decks like no power tools or nothing. That's how it was for probably a year or two.
Wow. So you've like kind of mastered the craft from like handwork to the more industrial side of being able to use power tools and kind of, I wouldn't say mass produce, but like produce at a higher rate. So you've kind of seen both ends in both the craft section and the like I want to be a company end too. That's very interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
With since you've kind of been doing this for so long and you've kind of been involved for a while, and I'm kind of an older guy too. So as you saw it evolve, how do you think your companies with the like, I guess in the sense of trends and how fingerboarding has evolved, do you think that you've kind of always been like on top of the game, or like has your wheels kind of reached this point where they kind of have their own edge?
I wouldn't say I'm on top of the game at all. I mean, I wouldn't even say I'm the top. There's people that are above me, and there's people that are doing great things, but it's like I don't try. That's not why I'm here. I'm not trying to get to the top. I'm trying to be here and doing what I love, because personally, I mean, I at the end of the day, if no one bought anything, I enjoy making stuff. So.
Exactly. No, I feel you. So at the end of the day, you're doing it for the community and people around you and anybody that wants to try the product. You know what I mean? And if it's great, then it just happens to be great. No, I like that. I like that concept. Coming at it as a hobbyist and like someone that does it for, I wouldn't say a living, but for the community as well. That's like that's a dope way to look at it. All right. Well, with the colorways and a lot of the new wheels that you've been producing, do you feel like the look and the feel of your wheel kind of has its own, I don't know, unique twist to it, or how could you explain the difference between, let's say, a Wysocki wheel than like any other wheel on the market?
Um, I've tried Joys, I've tried Oaks. I really love Oaks.
Yeah.
Um, I would say my wheels generally have like everyone's had tried a flat face wheel.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
my wheels, they're urethane wheels, but they have that general feel. They're like, wait a second, why are these so smooth? Like why do they roll? Like why do they roll so nice?
Exactly. So you kind of have this like, you're kind of more on the edge of like this is a feel good wheel, not so much some of the people that I want to hear it squeak and I want to see how replicated to a real skateboard it is. You're more of like I want this to feel good when you're riding it type.
Yeah, they squeak, but that's never been my main
Yeah,
focus.
yeah.
I I can pretty much sit down in an afternoon and okay, I see, I take a lot of I should give a lot of credit to Bones wheels because I look at their wheels and I'm like, okay, I see this shape.
Mhm.
How can I replicate that? So I go and then I go and I make the tooling for it and machine that and then take it from there. And it's like, okay, I send them around to a few people and they look at it, they see how they like it,
Right.
and then I go from I guess a prototype to a pre-production and then to a release. So it gets around before it comes out.
Yeah, you have some phases that you can send out before you're kind of sending it out to the public to make sure it's something that you want to produce at that level, I guess. Which is a good thing to do, to protect your, you know, validity, I guess, validity of your company.
Yeah.
What can I ask you? What's been more successful for you, the wheels or the decks?
Um. Well, I'd say it this way. I've been making decks for 11 years,
Right.
and probably from '07 to 2010, I was more doing it for fun. And then 2011 to 2012 I was gone. I just started high school and I wasn't even involved.
Right.
And then in 2012 I got back into it. So decks I started making decks again, started dropping stocks and I liked it and it was going good, but there was just something about it for me. It was like, okay, I'm dropping stocks. Okay, yeah, they're selling. And I liked it, but it was just kind of like, okay, this is fun. But for me, it was like, okay, decks aren't easy, but it's like I need to do something else. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I need to design something else. Like, I could never work like an office job doing the same thing each day. I enjoy I enjoy doing different things.
Exploring, yeah, yeah, because you've never done wheels. You're like, you know what? Even just coming from making decks, you were like, I'm gonna give this a try because I can't do the same thing. No, that makes plenty of sense. I'm sure there's people out there that can totally relate to that, and I know I feel that way about certain things. If I see that there's not something being done in like I don't know something I enjoy, I'm like, ooh, I could do that, and I want to see if I can explore it as far as I can. So that makes
Yeah.
plenty of sense. Okay, well then, how have okay, talking about coming from you're saying like you may not be the top of the game, but what is the reactions to your drops from the community, and how do you feel like the community really enjoys your product? And because I know I see like from tags and all the stuff, like the research I did on the site, a lot of people really enjoy and favor your wheels.
Yeah. I should look at the community more, and I personally I don't go off too much on Instagram and explore,
Right.
but when people I get DMs all the time where it's like, hey, I love your wheels. Hey, I love what you're doing. And that's my main focus. It's like, okay, when people write me a long email, it's like, oh, that's really appreciative. I
Yeah.
I enjoy I enjoy hearing customers tell me, hey, this is the only wheel I ride now. Like, hey, you're so awesome, and like, you just been a great help. And people are pretty humble when it comes to what they're saying about my product, and it's like, okay, I made this wheel just for me because I wanted a wheel. I at first was like, okay, cool, I can make wheels. I got wheels, and then people were like, oh, let me get some of those, and
Yeah.
that's where that went.
No, that makes sense though. You know, the community can drive you as much as it can deter you. You know, a lot of people talk mostly. You see a lot of companies that have issues. You know, whether it's a DM message they didn't like or something. You see a lot of negative stuff, but just as much as that stuff can deter you from like wanting to respond to the community, those one couple emails you get where it's like, man, keep doing what you're doing, or you know, I really appreciate this product and the fact that you threw some stickers in or something like that. It's like that's also stuff that could push you farther than you were the day before. You know, but I have a question from someone in the Discord, the Fingerboard Discord. They messaged in and they're saying, question for Red Wolf. If there was one thing you could change about the fingerboard community as a whole, what would that be?
Um, as a whole,
As a whole.
you know, there's not much I'd change, but I wish, I guess I'll change the question around. If there was something I could change, I guess it would. I wish there was more people. I wish it was a bigger thing. I wish it was
Yeah.
kind of like, like, I guess an example would be like Pokemon cards, or if it was more widely, like it's like, oh, everyone fingerboards.
Yeah.
I wish it was a bigger scene.
And the thing is, I feel like at the end of the day, everyone did fingerboard. Like, everyone did, but it doesn't have that same, like, I feel like it has the same nostalgia factor, but people don't hold it as closely and won't do it as long. You know what I mean? Like people will play Pokemon like tomorrow, you know, on their on DS, but like people won't buy a tech deck and fingerboard because they're like, well, I'm past that phase of my life. It's like I don't understand why people don't return to that poor part. You know what I mean, of their childhood, and or just take it to the like hobby as we do it and do it as like a hobby. You know what I mean? I just don't understand why it doesn't retain. It's something as simple as Pokemon. Like that's probably the best example I've heard. I think of that. But yeah, dude, thank you so much for answering that, and thank you so much, Jay Boondock, for that question. That was a really good question. What are the meanings of both of your names? I feel like now that I've talked to you and I see your Skype name and things, I can kind of make up the real name. But where did you get the name like Red Wolf, and you know what was the inspiration behind the names behind the companies?
So it's funny. Red Wolf. I started Red Wolf when I was 11, and I'm 22 now. So the name there, for example, I guess you could look at anyone's company when they start off, and you could figure out, okay, they're a young kid. And I did think about changing the name, but I talked to a few people, and they're like, no, that's original. Just stick with it. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
fine.
how it. Everyone knows Red Wolf, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, and plus it's something they know. So you're like, you know what? I'm at this point now, because you hear all the other companies talk about if they started early at a young age, they always have a name that they're like, well, I don't like it, but it's come to grow with it. So
Hmm.
like I understand that, and it's funny how like the same way that we've grown and we've changed, our fingerboard companies may have too, but the name kind of stays the same. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um, how would you explain the feel? You were saying like you're more of like a community, like do it for the community type person when you're making your products. But how could you explain the feel and what's like the mood or vibe of the company, and maybe even like with the riders that you have?
My mood and vibe, is I do me. I don't really, I'm not out there to be, I could go out there, I could go out and, make a mold and design a product that everyone would love,
Right.
like that would sell a ton. But I design and make stuff that I like personally. If you've ever seen the movie Joe Dirt, the guy selling
Yeah.
fireworks. He's like, I like snakes and sparklers. That's what I sell. And in a long, kind of long story short, that's kind of how I am. It's like,
Right.
I I'm not here to give you something that everyone's gonna love. I'm here to show you what I love and share it with everyone else.
That's awesome. The snakes and sparkling. No, that's awesome though. Like if this is what your niche is, this is what you enjoy making, and if it expands, then that is what it is. But you know, you're making what you want to make, and I think that's a lot of ways. Like a lot of companies should do it that way because the passion shows, you know, in the company. All right,
Hmm.
with your labeling and the packaging you've been doing recently, can you explain some of the drop packaging and like kind of the look of what you've been giving out? I love the swirl wheels and a lot of the color like ways you've been doing the actual wheels, but you also have like a very unique packaging. Can you explain that?
Which packaging exactly are we talking about? Wheel packaging
Yeah, like
or
wheel packaging. Like I've seen like some of the ones that like look like Quaker Oats or something like that. It's like you've had like a bunch of cool like looking designs and like different like feels to your packaging. Can you get into like what's the inspiration behind that?
I guess I've got the standard. I've got the standard Wysocki wheel packaging with the design, and then I've got the kind of like a spoof Tabasco sauce
Yeah.
packaging. Actually, a friend suggested me that, and he's like, "You should do Tabasco sauce," and I'm like, "Shit!" I looked at the design, and I sat there for a couple of hours on my computer, and I made a spoof, and that's how that went about. And then the Quaker Oats. It's actually not Quaker Oats. It's. It's either I don't know if you guys have ever heard of they're not Phillies, they're Dutch's cigars.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And
Dutch
it's
Masters. Yeah, Jay Boondock
yeah,
in the chat noticed. Yeah.
Dutch Masters, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that's awesome.
yeah.
Oh, that's actually I did not notice that. I did not notice that that was like the connection between the two. Okay, sorry. I told that like I didn't. Now that I'm like reading that, I did not notice that. It made me totally forget my next question. Oh, okay. Here. With the events, and like you're like not far from me at all. As you guys know, I'm stationed in the Sesh is stationed in Illinois, but you're not far from me at all. Has there been any events or any big like happenings or announcements that you guys have come out and done recently, like in the Midwest scene, or have you guys just kind of been just shipping and doing your thing from the home base?
I've been shipping, doing stuff here, but we actually are working on another event. Not me. Well, I'm part of it, but it's mostly being taken care of through through a few other people, and it's going to take place in Indiana.
Okay.
That's gonna be March 5th, I believe. I'm just scrolling through because I've got the actual place. But yeah, it's gonna be March 5th.
All
And I
right.
believe it's Highland Board Shop
Oh,
or
cool.
something along those lines.
All right, guys. So
And
keep a look out. Yeah, keep going. Hello. Oh, we may have lost connection. It is a bit rainy over by me. Hello.
no,
Oh,
no,
sorry about
I'm here.
that.
No, I can't even be specific on the dates because they're not set yet. But
Yeah.
there's definitely gonna be an event sometime in the next 6 months in Indiana. So that's gonna be great. And then we've been planning something possibly for Chicago, but you know, I'm not sure if that's gonna be happening.
Oh, cool. Well, if you end up needing, wanting to do that and wanting to get some fingerboarders out there, definitely let me, the Sesh, know, and we can get out there and try and help you guys out. Um, with future products and stuff you have coming out with both Red Wolf fingerboards and Wysocki wheels, are there anything that you can hint at or any cool new stuff that you'd want to talk about on the show? Or is it all kind of like kept under wraps right now?
No, I'm pretty open about it. I've been working on new prototypes for wheels, probably for the past 6 months now, and
Oh, wow.
they're still in the drawing phases. I'm just so busy with between orders and then personal life. I don't get the time
Right.
to sit down and okay, I'm gonna machine this and do this and write that down, and it's like oh, next week I'll do it, and then next week comes and I've got 20 or 30 orders I got to complete, and
Yeah,
it's like,
just
well,
as
it's
many
the
orders
next
last week.
it's the next week. Then it's like it keeps getting pushed back.
Yeah. All right, so you got stuff on drawing. You're pushing ideas around, but you also are trying to produce a product to everyone that people are already loving. So I totally understand. Plus, you got to keep a stock going. So I get you on that, and
Hmm.
I'm sure people will keep the eye out if you ever come up and announce something. I'm sure everybody will be on it anyway. Um, Hang on, let me see what I got over here because there was 2 pages of questions that I asked, but one of these pages isn't. We kind of covered it through other questions and stuff like that. Ooh, I said the reaction to your latest stock. Do you feel like with the growth of the company and everyone that's like reaching out to you and the team that you have, do you feel like Red Wolf will eventually? I know you said you're not looking for it, but do you think that Red Wolf will be seen on a level that maybe Joy Colt or some of the other brands that have been out there and really, I guess, hyped up? Do you see that like that type of reaction coming from the community, or do you still think it's at that like grassroots phase?
Um, from what I see and what I know, I'm shipping. I don't know what they're shipping,
All
but
right.
I'm not gonna. We're shipping probably maybe 100, 200 sets, depending on the month, and it's kind of like I I don't know what kind of
Numbers. Yeah.
numbers they're throwing out, but I mean for me, that's a comfortable thing because everything I'm making it isn't produced other places, and I don't know how other people make stuff, but everything I'm doing is handmade and it's hand poured, and then I'm taking it from that raw product and doing it all myself. So if that time comes, yeah, that'll be great. But if it doesn't, I'm comfortable where it's at.
Right. Okay. That's cool. So you're satisfied with where you're at, but what you're seeing is good stuff, and that I'm sure the community can agree with that too. That like because I've seen plenty of people, and like a lot of people rock the wheels and they're loving them. So I can totally see it heading that direction as long as you're ready for it. Because I know also it's not just that, but if you're just one person and you're doing it on your own and you're not looking to expand it to a I want to hire people and have employees and things like that, it can't reach that point. You know what I mean? Because if it's a labor of love and it's just you can't kill yourself over it. So,
Yeah.
and I see that like in the fingerboarding community, that's something consistent that people kind of face, like company owners that get successful, like you guys, you and like people around you. It's like, yeah, I'm one person, so even though I may get 200 to 300 orders for a month, I have to be able to make them still, and still keep up personal life. So like I always say, like thanks from the community just for doing it, because sometimes
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead. Let's say what you're gonna say.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say because I know like it's even though you may get paid for it and it is like an exchange of goods, like it is still your personal time and like at the end of the day, fingerboarding isn't as always as stable as we like it to be economically. So it's hard to
Yeah.
put your faith in something like that. So like I said, we really appreciate that. Um, is there any colorways that you're trying to like? I know you're saying you're not doing anything really with designs in the sense of new stuff coming out, but are there any new colorways that you've been trying or pushing and like want to kind of like hint at it for like people back home, or have you just kind of been consistent with the colorways you've been putting out?
I'm always down to do new colorways. People DM me like, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll give it a try. See how it looks." But most of the time, I'm not doing the same stuff, but I'm kind of sticking to the general
Yeah.
stuff. I know there's been a request. I got a lot of DMs. People were talking about Tide Pods and all that, and I'm just like, "Oh, okay. I'll get around to that." And I've been pushing. That's been getting pushed back too. But
Yeah. The success is hindering the exploration, but hey, it happens.
yeah, it's like I wanna sit back, take a week, and close down, and just not accept any orders and do stuff. But it's
Yeah.
like, oh, since I do this, I've been doing this, I'd say consecutively full time since 2014. That's not been the option really.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. Like, as an income source, you can't really just close up shop. Okay, well that makes sense. Well, with the decks, then, has there been any like? I know a lot of people have kind of found the sweet spots with molding, and like it's come down to like everybody kind of has like the three main molds that they ride, even though there might be variations in like length and like I guess size of the deck. I feel like everybody's reached this point with like kicks and like dimensions that we're kind of at like the sweet spot with fingerboarding. Do you feel like your fingerboards and like everything that you've been producing and stuff like are you like I said, have you been expanding those ideas I guess with like the fingerboarding aspect and not just the wheels, or have you kind of found your sweet spot as well with what you've been producing?
I'd say I've got a sweet spot, but I've been open to try a few new things, and I actually looked at. I saw an email the other day, and it was like, the last time I actually designed a new mold was in 2015. So I was kind of like,
Holy
well,
moly.
maybe it's time to come out with another design, and that's kind of been my focus. It's like I'm trying to see what's out there, and I don't want to do what someone else is doing.
Right. So no, that makes plenty of sense though. Like a lot of people, I feel like when they find a new mold that's good out there, a company like if a company does that, other companies will think it's like okay, well let me just copy that mold and now we have a new mold too. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
It's like
exactly,
yeah, and it's
exactly.
like that's not really a focus that we should have. Like stick to what you've created and like because then that just kind of defeats the purpose of having multiple companies. If you can
Yeah.
get anything from anywhere, it's like okay, well I'll just only buy this deck and these wheels and there's no variation in the market, and I think that's kind of goofy. But being original or staying original to your ideas, I think that's something everybody in the fingerboard community can appreciate. So That's super dope that you do that. With the materials that you use, though, do you think that there's ever a future with fingerboarding maybe going outside of the materials that skateboard wheels kind of use, or have you kind of like have you come to the conclusion as a wheel maker and like you know what I mean, someone that like messes with the material that's kind of the best stuff that you can use and because I feel like you know what I mean, being on a desk instead of concrete could be something different, but like I wanted to hear the opinion of someone that like actually makes wheels.
I used to use a softer material, and I was running into a problem with it, so I changed materials probably almost a year ago, and I've been using that, and I've been happy with that because it's reliable. But I've had
Right.
people request, hey, can you make a softer wheel? And I'm like, I can, but it's not it's not like a if you've seen you've seen the recycled skateboard wheels.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of those can be way too soft, and it's kind of to the point like, okay, you take a skateboard wheel and you scale it down. That skateboard wheel at 90A, oh, that's like it's hard, but it's still soft.
Mhm.
But when you scale it down, it's not. It's almost like Jello. It's
Yeah,
not.
it's not the
It
same
doesn't have.
feel.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same diameter at such a small scale. So what I've got now at I'd call it 101A. Um, it's kind of perfect, like what I wanted at. But I'm always open with a new design of a new wheel would come uh probably a new durometer.
Well, yeah, I guess at that scale, it kind of can affect anything. You know what I mean? I guess that's just like basic. I don't even know what you would say, but theory. Like this material on a smaller scale may not feel the same without the same weight and pressure on it as if someone standing on a skateboard would be. So I guess like that's something people have to take in consideration too. Um, lastly, I guess with the like everything that you got coming out and like everything and I said I know you were saying like you may possibly have some new stuff coming out in the sense of events and sponsoring things like that. Is there any hopes or like any tips for anybody? And I always have to ask this because people ask. Any tips or any hints or any sort of possibilities of any like new writers or new people sponsored by the company?
I guess first of all, I don't actually sponsor people anymore. I stopped doing that. I have more of a
Heard it here first,
tight
folks.
what?
I was like, heard it here first, folks. He does not sponsor people anymore. So
Yeah, it's more of a tight group of friends that we hang out in person, and like I've met them, and it's
yeah,
I've kind of shied away from, okay, this guy's great on the internet, but what kind of person is he in person? Like I value more who the person is rather than what they can do on a fingerboard. I mean, you
right,
could be a
right.
great fingerboarder, but you could be kind of a real, I wouldn't say a shitty person, but you could be a really not such a great person.
Yeah, and like I said in like past episodes, like even though like you could be as good as you want to be, there's a lot of young cats out there. I guess you could say that are really good fingerboarders, but at the end of the day, when you ride for a team, it's an advertisement deal between you and the company, not just I'm really good at fingerboards, so send me free stuff. So like if you don't have any sort of pull, I should say, I guess for lack of a better term, or like any sort of influence where you're making someone want to purchase an item anymore, I feel like that's something that can be left behind. And a lot of teams sponsor people that kind of really have no impact on their sales. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I would also probably like to add to that. It's like I sponsoring people in the past is, it's kind of been like you don't really, I don't want to say notice, but I'd rather send a person I call a friend a product to just use daily and shout it out on Instagram and show clips,
yeah,
rather than someone pushing my product constantly. And it's what because to be honest, I'd like to say in my personal experience, and it probably sounds really bad, but at the end of the day, sponsoring someone, I feel, just for that simple cause of, hey, you're pushing my product, I don't feel like that works generally. Because I mean, it's like, okay, you drop this one product that you said was really great, but then you go on another one and you say it's real great too. So like at the end of the day, what exactly
yeah. Are you honest?
does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
product?
What's the transparency behind that?
Yeah, like what does this product actually mean? Like, okay, yeah, he said it was good now, but now he's pushing another product, but it's also good too. It's like, where's the where's the
Yeah,
authenticity there?
exactly. And I don't throw shade at all like on this show whatsoever. And I got much love for the dude, but there's always this thing that I like to call like the chubby muffin reaction, where it's like people would be like, "Oh yeah," like you see somebody reviewing a product on like Instagram or something, and they're like, "Man, this is like," they'll get a new board from like some new company or some company they're not affiliated with. They're like, "This is like the best deck I've ever ridden." Except for,
Hmm.
they'll catch themselves to be like, except for the brand that I'm sponsored by. You know what I mean? Just to be like, oh, I almost caught myself. You know what I mean? I almost said this.
Yeah,
Because you can't have
exactly.
an honest opinion about stuff instantly like that when you have someone kind of like, I wouldn't say pulling the strings, but like you're supposed to be advocating for their product. And the moment you kind of discredit that, kind of discredits your whole reason of being on the team. So I
Exactly.
totally agree with that. And I think that's just so funny that you brought that up because I always see that, especially with reviewers that ride for companies. How can you review products if you have someone endorsing you? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. It's
I
like
just think it's funny.
it's just not to me. It's not a genuine, authentic review. If I'm sponsored by XYZ, but here's this product, but
Yeah, exactly.
exactly. It's just
Like this is the best deck ever, except for my sponsor names deck here, or my trucks here, and then you go back to talking about how much you love the deck though. It's like, oh my god. Yeah, but I totally get that, and I think that's interesting that you're another person that sees that. And I'm not saying all companies should follow suit because at the end of the day, it is a give and take relationship between riders and companies, and that's what kind of pushes the want to keep going. But also at the end of the day, like there's also other ways to do it. You know what I mean? Like sponsorships doesn't have to be a permanent thing. I feel like I feel like there's this idea that once you're sponsored by a company, it should be forever. I feel like
hmm.
rotating companies and being, you know what I mean. If you have short, like in the NBA, and you look at other professional sports, people get traded constantly. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's always this
exactly.
open market. So I feel like if someone can offer you a better deal, or like you have a closer relationship with someone, why not join their team and move on? You know what I mean? And I wouldn't even like someone else could take that position that wants to be on it more. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to grow, and I feel like companies like you that are kind of pushing this idea of it's okay to do different stuff as a company too, not just as a writer. I feel like that's definitely necessary for the growth of fingerboarding. But
Oh, most definitely.
can I ask you this last question, and then at the end I can give you time to like talk about any sort of stuff that you got coming out, or any shout outs or any announcements or anything, and then we can kind of sign off. But I always like to end with this question. At the end of your fingerboarding time, you know what I mean. At the end of your career with creating fingerboarding gear, and like let's say the company did as well as it could have, and like it did as much as it could in the community. What is your like goal impact on the community, and like what's something that you would want to leave behind when people think of your company?
Because I was watching. Look, I should say I was listening to some of your other podcasts yesterday, and I thought about that question myself. And to be honest, when the time comes when I'm done, who knows when that could be next week. That could be when I'm 80 years old.
Yeah.
I guess I don't really have an answer for that. Besides the Red Wolf Wysocki wheels quality products, and I back my products.
Right, right. No, no, that's all you can really ask from a company, because that's what you want is like, is this person trying to push, the quality as far as they can? And can I say yes? A lot of people try and sugarcoat the answer. A lot of people under answer, but I feel like that's probably the best way to look at it. Is like, I want to make a quality product, and I want people to recognize me. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
saying for fame, but like I mean, like I want people to recognize that. You know?
yeah, and I've talked to other company owners, and they're like, "Well, I'm happy where my product's at." For me, it's more of like okay, my product's good, but how can I improve it? I'm not constantly like, okay, that's where it is, and I'm comfortable. I'm constantly, well, how can this be improved? How can I do this better? What could be more efficient? And if you get to a certain point where you're comfortable with doing just this, well, that's as far as you're ever gonna go.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what it is. If you don't push yourself, then there's no point of even, the product will never grow. You know what I mean? It may grow in other aspects and other companies that are actually thinking the way they're supposed to be, but if you don't push your own product, you might be great now, but like there's always growth. You know what I mean? There's always change. So
Exactly.
no, that's a really solid way to answer it. But thank you so much for coming on, like coming on and letting us know about the boards and the wheels and like everything that's been going on with the company. I can give you this time though to kind of like talk about any stuff you got coming out, any sort of information you want to leave with us, and then we can kind of sign off, and I can get you out of here, man.
Oh yeah. I guess we've there's a few events I'm sponsoring. One of them is what's the name of it? It just came out. It's South. It's not. It's I believe it's the Session 3. It's
Oh, the
by
sessions, yeah, the session guys.
no, not
Oh,
it's it's by I don't know if you remember a company called Zinc FB.
uh,
A good friend Daniel. It's terrible that I don't remember his its current company. Oh no, his current company off the top of my head. But yeah, he's doing the South Session 3 out there in Atlanta.
oh, okay,
So that's
that's out
happening
that way.
March 24th, and I'm sponsoring that.
Awesome.
And then we've got that event that I will pretty sure be at in Indiana coming spring. So there's that. As far as new products, I'm dropping new products all the time. There's not a I don't generally like, okay, this is the release date, this is when I'm doing it. It's like, oh, it's ready, send it out, like get it out there.
All right, so people gotta follow the account. People gotta follow you and make sure they're keeping up to date with all this stuff because he's quick and he's out there with it. Can you give us your at really quick on Instagram or any other stuff that you got going on?
Uh, Possibly a new mold in the works. Won't say too much about that, but it's Red Wolf FB on Instagram, and give me a follow.
Definitely do that. And thank you so much, sir. That is our interview with Red Wolf FB. Everybody, like he said, follow him on Instagram. You got to keep up with his Wysocki wheels and his decks. Everybody, if you look at the hashtag and anybody that's riding his product, they're loving it. Thank you so much, man. I hope to have you back on the show. Like I say this to everybody, but literally everybody's so involved in the community and it gives me such a it's such an easy time interviewing you guys because all the questions come so naturally and the conversation's so natural because you guys are doing what you love and you can just talk about it naturally. And I just really appreciate the work that you've given to the community and thank you so much for coming by and giving the show a chance and talking about your products and stuff, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'd love to be back on anytime.
All right, we'll definitely have you back on, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Alrighty, guys. That was our interview with Red Wolf Fingerboards, Wysocki Wheels. That was Keelan. Like I said, go ahead and shoot him a follow at Red Wolf FB. He's a great guy, as you guys can tell. Everybody that we've interviewed so far has been great people to me. I really appreciate all the companies, especially Keelan for coming on today and working with me so much with such a busy schedule that we both have, and balancing this and squeezing me in to get it done. Jay Boondock, I totally did not see that in the chat. I was so busy looking at my questions, I did not see that. I would have totally asked him that, but I will definitely get that posted in the description of the video, the answer to that question. But what was I gonna say? Thank you guys, everybody that's in the live stream and came by and started watching and is supporting the Sesh. All of you guys kind of make this happen. I know I've only been doing this for a little while in the sense of the fingerboarding streams, and I have my own stream on the side. But doing this with the fingerboarding stuff has been really fun and helping the community out and making sure people are kind of keeping up to date with all the stuff that's been coming out and posting these podcasts / stream stuff on YouTube so everybody can hear has been really fun. And then being able to ask all these companies the questions and stuff that you guys have live in front of them, that's super dope. So definitely get more involved with the community if you're fingerboard and stuff like that. Follow me on Instagram on my personal fingerboarding page at StevieFromTheSesh. And also join the Discord. The Reddit fingerboard Discord is super lit all the time, and every company owner is in there. So if you're looking to talk more one-on-one with these guys and what they do and get more information about it, just look for the information. It's out there, or come ask me. I can get you in the Discord. I can get you wherever you want to be. We can get you more involved in Instagram and stuff, and get you the questions to the answers you want, or the answers to the questions you want. But like I said, thank you so much to Keelan and everybody I've interviewed this week and last week. We've kind of been just taking off with the interviews and all the love that we've been getting in the community. Sorry about all the noise in the background. I got all my roommates out there probably playing video games. But hopefully later this week, though, to hint at some of the interviews we got coming up, I'm hoping that by the end of the week we can get Teak Tuning on here. I know a lot of people want to talk to them and get their information on stuff. So hopefully I can get them to squeeze some time in for me and talk about their tuning and all their stuff like that. And also we're looking for more writers, like pro writers. So pro writers and sponsored writers, if you're listening in, or any of the companies that I've interviewed in the past, if you're listening in and you know you got some pro writers that could that have a good story to tell and want to talk a little bit, feel free to direct them to my page and DM me, or I can DM them and we can get something going. So other than that though, guys, that's about it for today. I'm going to get this posted up on YouTube as soon as possible. I'll probably be streaming actual video games after this, carrying over. But if you enjoy my fingerboard content and all the information that I've been giving out and all these podcasts that I've been giving, and you want to watch past and prior ones, or you're a company and you want to send me a message to advertise, or you're a writer that wants to come on the show or anything like that, message me at StevieHarkinsFB, or on here, twitch.tv/StevieHarkinsCK, or on YouTube, youtube.com/VibVX or VYBEXD. That's my YouTube page, I believe. And you guys can all message me there, and we can talk it out. So other than that, I'm gonna slide on out of here. I'll give you guys some tunes. We'll probably take the cast down, transition over, and get some stuff going for the video game cast. But as usual, I'm Stevie Harkins FB, and that's been the Sesh, my guys. I'll see you guys soon.